Hi, it's Reverend Christie. Another message on Reveal and Heal during this wonderful, terrible, hopeful, sometimes traumatic time that we're living in right now. The last time we spoke, we talked a little bit about the idea of being informed and making sure that you were learning before you were moving forward and acting and staying centered in divine knowing and divine right action. So today I want to just give you the message to think about everything that's happening in terms of a return to our awareness of wholeness. It's not a return to wholeness, because wholeness is the truth and the reality of all things. But our awareness of it slips sometimes. And some of us are more aware than others that we are one whole, connected being, even though we express as individuals. So this wholeness that we are not aware of all the time comes in so many forms, and we're now dealing with the form of racism as a form of separation, as a form of a way to seem separate from one another, and has been utilized for, as we know, hundreds of years to keep people in relatively different places socially, economically, and politically. We know that that needs to be broken down in the world because it needs to be broken down within us, because we want to have a world that is expressing the wholeness, even when we're expressing our individual selves. So I invite you today just to think about where you are on the spectrum. There are people who are expressing right now, when it comes to Black lives, African American people, they're expressing what looks like hate. They are expressing what looks like indifference. They're expressing what looks like guilt. And then there's concern. And then there's compassion. And then there's love. So on this spectrum, wherever you are on that spectrum, you can move along the spectrum. And in a sense, as you move along the spectrum, you raise your vibration. And the raised vibration is beneficial to you and to everyone around you, and to the awareness of wholeness. So if on the spectrum, you or someone you know is feeling hateful about people who have brown skin and who are African American, and maybe because of what's happening right now, or maybe because of something happened in your life, it doesn't really matter what, but if you're feeling that, see if you can move yourself from this idea of hate to some kind of indifference, a little move along the spectrum. And if you're feeling indifferent about what's happening around you, then maybe see if you can move even to the phase of feeling some kind of guilt or responsibility. It's not a place we want to stay, but it's a movement along the spectrum. It is a waking up. And maybe you're feeling some guilt, but you'd like to move to concern. And maybe from concern, you're feeling wanting more compassion for people. And you're feeling compassion, then maybe you want to move to a deepening of your sense of love. So be aware of where you are on that spectrum in terms of allowing for the wholeness of this human race and the connection. So any part of the human race that you're leaving out. And right now we're focused on the African American community because sometimes you need to focus in order to have something grow and heal. So we're focusing there. I recently put out an idea that came to me in a dream that non-Black people could be walking in Black neighborhoods or different places with their signs, and the sign would say, I want to live in a world where you feel safe and loved. This idea is that we are one whole, and if you're not feeling safe and loved, I can't fully feel my humanity or fully feel the wholeness in us, because you are kept from some sense of that based on the amount of noise and oppression and specific policies and practices in the world. So I want to live in a world where you feel safe and loved. Therefore, I will take inspired action to make that a reality. in the external. And meanwhile, I will move myself on that spectrum to greater and greater love for you so that I can be a channel for love, which flows through me and makes my life better. The last sign that I carried in a protest was, if you love me, your life will be better. I promise.